Good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Today it's a Monday. Most people feel reluctant to go for work for Monday, but we have to wake up and report for work. I'm your usual host, Patrick Soko. Today I'm on loan because I'm not with my usual co-host, Miriam Kaimba, but I'm going to assure you of a good program. And today it's nothing but getting perspective from you, our dear viewers. And we'll be looking at the return of former President EDGAR Lungu into active politics, and that is our subject of the day. And we want to hear from various stakeholders, especially Musonda. I want to also hear from the voice of Munari. Munali I also want to hear from Mr. Jones Mukuma from Livingstone, especially. These are people who have been commenting on this subject. Now that it has come to fruition, what is the way forward and what is the political landscape going to look like? Those are the issues that I'll be interrogating on the Camnet Breakfast Show today. But to get started on the program, let's go straight into the health corner with the doctors.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubia Namfaya. So this month of March, we have been looking at conditions that are affecting women, and we've looked at so many conditions. We've looked at breast cancer, we've looked at fibroids, and we looked at cervical cancer. So this week, we are going to look at yet another topic that affects a lot of women, and it's a very common condition, and I'm sure some people might have this condition and they might not really know that they have this condition. So this week we're going to talk about polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I don't know if you've heard about it before, but polycystic ovarian syndrome is also known as PCOS. Is a condition where a woman would have irregular menses. So they would have what we call oligomenorrhea, which is irregularity in their menses, or they might have amenorrhea, which is where they don't have any menses at all. So oligomenorrhea can even be for just 2 months. So you might find that they have menses for 2 months and then they skip a month or so, or they might have their periods might come only after 6 months or even 3 months. So it's not specific, so it can be any amount of time. So that's what we call oligomenorrhea. So most people who have PCOS would have this syndrome of having oligomenorrhea or amenorrhea, where they do not have regular menses. And then they would also have hyperandrogenism. So hyperandrogenism is a condition where you have excess male hormones such as testosterone. So your body tends to produce more of the hormones, the male hormones, and less of the estrogen hormone, which is the female hormones, and the other female hormones that the brain also produces. So because of that, they might also usually have cysts in the ovaries. So the ovaries produce an ovum every month, and so once it produces a lot of these ovums and they form some cysts in the ovaries, they would usually call that as polycystic ovary. So they would have polycystic ovaries, and usually one ovary would even have up to 20 or more cysts. And so PCOS would be defined as somebody who has 20 or more cysts in one or both of the ovaries, and also has the oligomenorrhea with amenorrhea, and also has hyperandrogenism. So that is what PCOS is, or polycystic ovarian syndrome. So this week we'll look at some of the causes, what really happens, how does this condition come about, and we'll also look at the signs and symptoms. What can you see apart from the irregular menses? What other symptoms do these people have that can show that somebody has polycystic ovarian syndrome. Then we'll also look at how it's diagnosed and treated, and then finally we'll look at the complications. So we need to understand what are some of the complications that these people might have, and how can we prevent those some of these complications from happening. So make sure that you watch every day, and make sure that you learn so that you can be able to share the information with your friends and your family as well. And if you missed any episodes on the Health Breakfast Show, you can always make sure you watch the videos on my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nakuyana Mfaya Siameka. And don't forget to subscribe as well and share with your friends. So I'll see you again tomorrow. I do hope you have learned something. Stay blessed and stay healthy.
Wow, that was the Health Corner with the doctors there. Every time we bring you the Health Corner so that we can always remind each other of how important it is to take care of our health, because only a healthy nation is prosperous, because you can't have a nation that is progressing in terms of productivity when the larger percent of its population is sick. So we have to make sure that we take health matters serious, because at the end of the day we need to be in our health condition for us to be able to do everything that it is that we desire to do, and for us to be as effective as possible. So let's always continue to promote good health. And talking about good health, let us always remember that there are also non-communicable diseases that are really affecting us as a country and the globe as a whole, because we tend to think that only infectious diseases such as malaria, such as HIV are dangerous, but we are seeing that NCDs are equally claiming a lot of lives. So let's make sure that we also take initiatives to exercise. Where you need to use the staircase, use it. Don't go for a lift. That is important towards you getting healthy. You have to make sure sometimes you take a walk, sometimes you jog. And talking about jogging, there was an interesting story over the weekend where we saw that Rwanda continues to make advancements in terms of its road systems, and they had to add what they call a jogging lane as they build their roads. And that is, I think, a progressive idea, and we have to be also exploring such interventions as a country so that people can be running. But you know, running in our roads is very risky sometimes, so you'd find that we see a lot of accidents where pedestrians are hit by these speeding vehicles. So we can also emulate what Rwanda has done by just also coming up with those jogging lanes so that people can be able to jog without looking beyond their shoulder if at all a vehicle is coming, if at all a motorcycle is coming, if at all a biker is coming. So let's also make sure that we progress in such direction, because it is important that we move with trends as a country. Now, moving on the program, we have to get to know that how the kwacha is performing this morning, because last week we left it on a sad note. It was hitting the 22 kwacha mark against one US dollar. So now let's look at how today is. Now, this is how today looks like. It has the kwacha is buying at 21 kwacha 75 ngwe and selling at 22 kwacha 17 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 26 kwacha 43 ngwe and selling at 26 kwacha 95 ngwe. The Euro is buying at 23 kwacha 02 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 48 ngwe. The South African Rand is buying at 1 kwacha 16 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 180 ngwe. So those are your money market updated today, being the 30th of October 2023 at 0713. And talking about that day, it always brings us to a sad episode where we tend to get reminded that we need to revise the fuel pump price by the Energy Regulation Board, the bearer of bad news every month. So now we are going to see between today and tomorrow, the ERB is going to make that announcement, whether it's going to be positive or negative. But looking at how the kwacha is performing, I don't see any signs of progress in terms of us having a decline on the price of fuel. You too, our dear viewers, have a say on this subject that we are looking at on the Camnet Breakfast Show. So in case you want to join the conversation, you can do so, and also remember to give us your comment and contribution via our Facebook page. We have put a question there. What is your take on former President EDGAR Lungu's decision to return to active politics? We want to get your perspective as a general populace. Those of you from the Copper Belt, Southern Province, Northwestern Province, Northern Province, Eastern Province, as well as Muchinga, and all the rest of Luapula Province, and all the provinces, the 10 provinces. We want to hear your voices. What is your take regarding ECL's comeback? What does it mean for Zambian politics? That is a question that I'll be asking, and I'll be getting your views on later on the program. But to get started, first of all, we now have to get to a next segment. This is where we get to look at the stories that are making the headlines. And I also have to remind you that we had an interesting weekend, a lot of games, and sadly we had an important derby, and the Manchester City and Man United, and we saw Manchester City being the better side. You know, if you look years back, the opposite was true, but Manchester City is now the dominant of the two Manchesters. So we are seeing that things do change, and really that is a testament of how things change. We saw Manchester City beating Manchester United by 3-0. And let's now move on to look at the first story on some of the stories we're zooming in today. We will look at a story where a 14-year-old boy of Lusaka's Challenge compound in Mapuloto area has been sodomized by a man in his late 30s identified as Jeff Banda. Mike Piri, not his real name, has told Camnet News that he and his friend were lured in a classroom at a named tuition center in the area where the suspect started caressing them, with which prompted his friend to flee while leaving him trapped with the suspect. Piri recalls that the suspect pushed him on the desk where he sodomized him the whole night. Meanwhile, mother to the victim narrates that the incident has caused a lot of trauma to her son, as it is alleged that he might be a carrier of sexually transmitted diseases. So now let's have a look at this story, and we'll be looking at the ECL story on the other side.
He struggles to sit as he is nursing wounds from his waste excretion organ after being allegedly sodomized by a man in his late 30s identified as Jeff Banda, who is currently on the run. Mike Piri, not his real name, has narrated to this reporter that the suspect on the 23rd of October 2023 lowered him and his friend into a classroom at a named tuition center in the area where he started harassing him, but that his colleague managed to escape, leaving him alone with the suspect, who took turns in sodomizing him the whole night on that fateful day.
After tanga mchikasi joni deba bata tenchoke mo mchikasi nepetina chokapani ulo after monde para motugila gwi eve mzanga natawa ulo eve wanangirira nepe eve mzanga natawira ku nepe chanish nepe mayanangira nepe ka mchikasi nepe para mo stabusuma nepe para mo ustashani kumataka novera kuwa.
Mother to the victim narrates that she only came to discover that her son was missing around 22 hours on that fateful day, but that all efforts to locate him proved futile until the following morning when his son came and narrated what transpired.
Ndemwamekana kambira ati ujamwana wamene sana chesa na bwerele isema ilo siku kulibamuna wezi wanatikata wajamuna wanatitenga baenda naise. So ise tabata bafunza mai muno mwa matengeneza mulidaki chili bwanji ata tenti funa cheti tipumuleko tenti nkali pamene hapa So uja mnyamata ati baba banamba bamba utikatakata kwa feeling abana. Bambo wa feeling so uja mnyamata pia naona bakata uyu watu ndio wanambilira uja mnyamata ni mwana tabi anatabira.
Other family members also say the suspect is believed to be carrying a sexually transmitted disease and suspect many other children in the area have been victim of this crime, but that their parents do not want to come out in the open due to discrimination. They have since expressed disappointment at the slow pace at which the case is moving.
My result are very major result. It took after 1 month or 3 weeks. So your 3 weeks in the mate is a my result of clinic kutoka peke kwa hospital or tangizo pesa bwandi nda kuisa kambati swanga tiki act now we are waiting for result. We want help pamene hapo manje.
Other community members have also expressed concerns on the lack of security in the area where crime has now become on a rampant.
Anavo bana kulibe manje so kunkala pisi setizanga woyo pa bana kwamba kugwiriwa tizankala nabo bwanji batiganizireko ngoma poto kutavutikana nako kulivochitika.
Once somebody takes anything like your corner, I'm going to feel. So for to ever, but I will feel our MPs can look into this matter so that they can bring the police post very fast near our area.
Meanwhile, Area Member of Parliament Andrew Tayengwa says he is disappointed that such is happening in his constituency, where a similar case of gayism led to the death of one community member who was burned in his house. He has since assured that a police post will soon be constructed in the area to help fight crime.
But we're not looking at the police post alone. I think we need also to start sensitizing people the dangers of involving themselves in criminal activities. I think sensitization is the key way, because you can have the police force, yet people, if they are not educated about crime, then you will see them continuing doing.
And police deputy spokesperson Danny Mwale says the matter has been received by police and is currently being investigated. Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News.
There you have it. That is a story there, a sad story that happened in Mapoloto area there in Lusaka's Chilenje area in Kawata constituency. And in case you want to give your perspective on that story, we'll be opening the phone lines so that you can also share your perspective on what is happening. These cases are becoming rampant. And let's also have now look at the story of the day. And we are going to look at, we'll start from Saturday, how events unfolded pertaining to former President EDGAR Lungu's decision to return to active politics. So we are going to go back to that, those stories. Then we bring you to what also happened yesterday. So now we'll start with a story where the Patriotic Front has commemorated the 9th memorial anniversary of its founder and 5th Republican President Michael Sata. Former President EDGAR Lungu, Saturday 28th of October 2023, led several PF officials and members of the family of the late president to celebrate his life. St. Ignatius Parish priest Father Andrew Simpasa urged the opposition party to remain united and keep the party intact. So the other story is where former President EDGAR Lungu has announced his return to active politics as he vowed to save the Patriotic Front PF from going into oblivion. The country has been brewing with speculation surrounding the return of Mr. Lungu to active politics, with the government instituting legal recourse on the matter, addressing scores of PF members during the memorial service of Mr. Sata. Mr. Lungu said that the decision came after careful determination and is aware of the consequences of the move. Mr. Lungu has stressed that he will not allow PF to die or other opportunistic individuals to create factions in the party as long as he is alive. The PF is embroiled in a fearful battle for leadership after Matelo constituency member of parliament Mao Sampa assumed the helm of the party following a convention he held in Lusaka last week. So now let's have a look at these two stories, and we'll be back to get your comments and contributions on the program.
Opposition Patriotic Front members turned out in numbers to commemorate the 9th memorial anniversary of its founder and 5th Republican President Michael Sata at the Cathedral of the Child Jesus. Mr. Sata died on October 28, 2014 while serving as President of Zambia. Former President EDGAR LUNGU this morning, Saturday the 28th of October 2023, led several Patriotic Front officials, members, and the family of the late president to celebrate his life. St. Ignatius Parish Priest, Father Andrew Simpasa, has urged the opposition party to remain united.
For President Michael Sata, the 5th Republican President, that he may rest in peace. As for you, my dear friends in the Patriotic Front, I know that you live in interesting times, and we pray for you that you find the requisite space to play your role in the evolving dispensation in the country, that you are going to provide the requisite and necessary checks and balances that are important in the governance of our country. We pray that you are going to survive the imingalato that is evolving, so that anyway, may God make you a united front so that you might not be driven miles apart from each other, and please don't somehow the party. In the name of the
former National Democratic Congress leader Dr. Chishimba Kambli, who is also Patriotic Front presidential aspirant, remembers the late president as a humble person who cared for the poor.
Sata had regard for the poor people. Mr. Sata wanted to see a developed Zambia where all the citizens live a better and comfortable life. You remember one time he said Zambians do not need to be favored with development, but that they deserve the development and they deserve a better life. He's a man who understood the sufferings of the people, and he's a man who looked forward to seeing a Zambia that was well developed.
And opposition leader Harry Kalaba of the Citizen First Party remembers Mr. Sata as a person who helped him in his political career.
Mr. Sata was an all-encompassing man. He embraced both the rich and the poor, and he accepted to lower himself for the sake of everybody around. And so I remember him with a sense of nostalgia for all the good things that he stood for. Really, it is worth remembering a man of that caliber, because Zambia is better off as a result of Mr. Sata having been born, having been president in this country.
Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
We're going to follow the media, or we are going to be told that I have come out of retirement.
The speculations are over as Zambia's former and 6th president, EDGAR LUNGU, has announced return to active politics. This comes 4 days after Matero Member of Parliament, Mao Sampa, held an impromptu extraordinary general conference which elected him as president of the Patriotic Front, PF. Making his announcement at Memorial Park during the memorial of former President Michael Sata, Mr. LUNGU disclosed that his decision came after thorough thought aimed at saving the former ruling party from collapse.
I don't want to die. I will also not allow factions within the party. I will also not allow opportunistic individuals to destroy the party. Hear this. Therefore, after a careful and deep reflection and wide consultation, including prayer, following naked efforts by those in power to annihilate the biggest opposition party, PF, in Zambia today, the PF, using their stooges and institutions of governance, I have decided to return to active.
Without referring to individuals, Mr. LUNGU also vowed to prevent factions in the party. Meanwhile, the memorial service was full of messages in songs and turnout, perhaps as a show of strength in the former ruling party. The Patriotic Front PF has been shifting goalposts on hosting its party conference since June 2022 to elect new leaders after Mr. Lungu has announced his retirement, perhaps was aimed to give room to the former head of state to make his decision. This was also characterized with some party officials making hints of his return into active politics. With the return of Mr. Lungu in active politics no longer speculation, President Hakainde Hichilema's question may now beg an answer.
Chakukola chimbala. Chimbala chakukola.
For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
After widespread speculation on the return of former President Edgar Lungu to active politics was put to bed Saturday, 28 October 2023, various stakeholders in the political scene have expressed concern over the announcement by the former president. A political researcher, Dr. Kefas Mukuka, observes that no political player should be afraid that the former president has returned to active politics because it is within the country's constitution. Dr. Mukuka explains that Mr. Lungu's return to active politics is also a testament to the growing democratic dispensation of Zambia.
When people are trying to resist his comeback, I don't think we are being fair to him. We are equal before the constitution. Moreover, the decision of who becomes president in this country does not lay in WhatsApp groups. It does not lay in the hands of single individuals, but surely it's in the hands of those who are registered.
Human rights commentator Michael Zulu says while Mr. Lungu's return to politics is positive for the country's politics, it brings fresh memories of how he allegedly mismanaged the country.
Active in politics, and those who support Mr. Lungu will support him, those that don't will not. But it will also bring to fore, I think, it will bring to fore the reminder of the happenings in this country under Mr. Lungu's governance. And I think Zambians will remember that we are here today, I think, because of Mr. Lungu's mismanagement of this country. So it's interesting to see that, he's coming back.
But civil rights activist Brebna Changala has heaped the blame on the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, for causing the former president to return to active politics.
Who does fingerprints on Independence Day? Who does clearances of fingerprints in one day? I have done police clearance myself, and the general rule is you come back after 21 days. Who holds a convention on Independence Day and at a government infrastructure with full state police protection, and you cannot change office bearers 24 hours after you held the convention? It takes time.
Meanwhile, some human rights defenders have observed a need to work on the allegedly shrinking democratic space of the country. They also question the continued detention of opposition patriots for economic progress leader Sean Tembo.
PND government and leadership is that let us, number one, ensure that we professionalize our police service. Let the police not use the guise of the Public Order Act, a colonial law that we need to delete actually from our statutes.
Request President Hakainde Hichilema to intervene in Sean Tembo's case, let him be given bond and be taken to court so that the courts can decide whether he was wrong or he committed the crime or not. If he committed the crime, let him be taken to prison and let him get arrested. But if not, let him be released and let him go see his family. We observed that the police brutality of even going to break in to his home was uncalled for.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The drama in the former ruling Patriotic Front took an epic turn on Saturday, 28th October 2023, after former President EDGAR LUNGU announced himself president of the LUNGU-plunged Patriotic Front as he announced his return to active politics.
After careful and deep reflection and wide consultation, including prayer, following naked efforts by those in power to annihilate the biggest opposition party PF is under today, the PF, using their stooges and institutions of governance, I have decided to return to active politics.
But Patriotic Front Mafinga Member of Parliament Robert Chabinga advised the former head of state to start working from the ward structures if he is to aspire to lead the former ruling party again.
We are not refusing for our president to come, but he has to start from a ward, unfortunately. He needs to start at the ward, then start coming back.
No, Chabinga is the one who is orchestrating, who is working with the system. I'm PF, how can I work with the system? I'm PF. How can I work with the system? How? I'm PF. No, he's working with UPND, he's leaking information from it. Is them like the Rafael Nakachinga of this world. The Rafael Nakachinga is wherever he goes, he has a very bad taste. Wherever he goes, there's confusion.
Meanwhile, when asked on the future of the party, Patriotic Front Acting Media Director Edwin Lifwekero says the party is still intact, and without mentioning names, he says the party is too big and is likely to have both normal and those he termed as abnormal members.
Our expectation are that some of these squabbles are normal because PF is so big that it's very difficult. You have normal people in PF, you have also abnormal people in the Patriotic Front. All of them are children of the party. Like we saw that mediocre so-called general conference that organized by Mao Sampa. I think that is a circus of the highest order. That is a joke, actually, because if you look at the rationale and according to our party regulations stipulated in our constitution, all councillors that are PF councillors within the 10 provinces of this country form part of the General Conference. All members of Parliament, not one individual in the name of Robert Chabinga, go and casting his vote and then you legitimize that and they say that you're at the General Conference. It doesn't work like that.
For now, all we can do is grab some popcorn, lean back and watch as this movie seems to be getting more and more interesting. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Welcome back. There you have it. That is an interesting story there we are looking at pertaining to the former ruling party, the PF. A lot of issues have unfolded, especially last week pertaining to the PF. We saw them first of all splitting into two, where Mao Sampa took the other camp, and they have two factions now. One led by Mao Sampa, and as the court decision so far, Mao Sampa's party is legitimate based on the restraining orders from the courts. So now we see that these things continue to unfold, and we saw the former president EDGAR LUNGU on Saturday 28th of October 2023 announcing his return to active politics. There we saw now a lot of stakeholders reacting to that story, and various stakeholders are still raising their perspective on the subject. Now I've been joined by my colleague Nelson Zulu. Nelson Zulu, have you followed how events have been unfolding in the former ruling party?
It's quite interesting. I think we've been glued to all these events that are unfolding, and we saw yesterday what was also happening at the Secretariat, where there was an alleged blocking, so to say, from the side of those that are saying Mao Sampa is not the legitimate leader of the former ruling party. And we saw, I think, also some sort of tear gas that was also put in place to ensure that the members that were there are displaced, and all these issues that are unfolding. And we also saw PF Mafinga, Member of Parliament, who's likely to take over as leader of opposition this week in Parliament, also making it very very known to the public that he's eager, he's waiting to move in and be at the seat of that position and then sit brand mundu with it.
And we saw him further make some, what to term, some say comment that the former head of state has to start at branch level.
He has to start
at what level?
He actually made that made that remark during a media address yesterday that the former president has to start from a ward level, because that way they're going to weigh in terms of his capabilities to mobilize people and ensure that he remains faithful to the party. So his argument is that even Mao Sampa, at the time when he was no longer a PF member, when he rejoined PF, he started from somewhere. He had to mobilize and show commitment, and then rose to the rank to even the aspect of presidency now, according to him. Yeah, so
but the former president has been a member of parliament before. But why does he want him to go to what level?
So it's some sort of
politicking.
Politicking.
Just simplify it like that.
It's some sort of politicking.
Yeah.
Yes, and he said, he was even laughing, I think, when he was saying it, that he has to start from ward level. Now, this is the former president we're talking about.
Yes, now our dear viewers, now the phone lines are open and we want to hear from you regarding the topic of the day. We are looking at the return of the former president into active politics, and that's where we are getting your calls this morning. You can, when you call us, make sure that you turn down your volume of your TV set, then make sure that you have a good reception, then go ahead and give us your contribution. But remember, we have to know where you are calling us from and your names. That is very important. So now, in case you want to join us, you are free to dial that number that we are putting on your screens, so that you can be able to get in touch with us, myself, Patrick Soko, and Nelson Zuru on the Breakfast Show this morning. We want to interact. Now, we want to hear your views. We've seen that we have gotten a number of views on our Facebook page, and various stakeholders are giving their perspective. And like we always say, Nelson, here on the Breakfast Show, everyone else is entitled to their own opinion, and we have to respect everyone's opinion. So now let's have a look at some of the comments that have come through. Now, we have Shaft Mubanga, who says it is a welcome move that he can face charges which he committed the time he was in office. That is Shaft Mubanga. And Noah Kunda says nothing is wrong of ECL coming back. And we have Regan Banda says, let Edgar Lungu do his work. Watching live from Chipata City. Thank you, Regan Banda there. We have Christopher Kaluba, who says, some people want him. The problem will be the government. They don't want him. That is according to Christopher Kaluba on our Facebook page. Ligan Banda comes back, Nelson, there. He says, let ECL rescue our nation. Zambia is watching. let ECL rescue our nation, Zambia. Watching live from Chipata City.
But there's also now a controversial, more like a question from Leon Caps, who replies to Regan Band and says, Lungu arrested opposition leaders before. That was a good thing, because it was him. People died under his leadership. Was that good? People wherever beaten under his leadership. I don't know. Where we are busy getting free money, flashing money, and insulting police officers. Was that good? Come on, you guys. Let's think before we support. You only think of news up.
Yeah, so then he says, Ozia Siawusu says, he doesn't have direction. He is just influenced by the followers. Yes, then we have another one, Philip Fundi, who says, Philip with me. Philip says it's a questionable to see someone read back in active politics on paper. Did he need to a written speech just to say that? Yeah, okay. So now let's get.
Good morning. You are through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show.
Good morning, sir.
Who do we have on the line, and where are you calling us from?
Mr. Msonda. Mr. Msonda, I was waiting for your call. You can go ahead with your contribution.
You know, the first thing, I would love to urge you, journalists. I have been watching KPN TV. before switching on to Camnet. You journalists, if you are not following and telling the people who are watching the programs, the whole Zambia, telling them the truth, then you are setting this country on fire. Because when you look at what the other guy is saying, EDGAR LUNGU, according to what that other person was saying, to say he used to arrest the opposition political leader. When you go in the Bible,
Mr. Msonda, before you proceed, Mr. Msonda, Nelson was reading the messages. Mr. Msonda, before you proceed,
I'm coming to your point.
yes, he was reading comments on Facebook and not his comments. I wanted you to be clear.
Yeah, I'm coming to the comments. So I'm saying I've been comparing KPN TV and the Camnet. So at KPN TV, I've even switched off because the journalist was there and whatever name. What I'm trying to put up is that you as journalists, you are the people who are clearing the minds of many Zambians. Are you getting my point? So when you are talking about something, be open and be neutral. If the past has happened in a bad way, let's not repeat the same thing. Because Zambia is a Christian nation, and where we are, we need to set the political activities clear because it's democracy. Then coming back to the issue of Israel coming back into active politics, he's a Zambian, and he is eligible to stand in 2026. So what is needed now is that let the government under Kaite Chilema put things straight. Let all the opposition political parties work like the way they're supposed to work in the democratic country. But the problem is they want to silence certain opposition political parties, which is a very dangerous issue. So as Zambians, we are interested to enjoy this peace and to make sure that each political party is allowed to hold their own meetings. So my emphasis on you journalists, you are the people who should protect these opposition political parties, because you have done this before. You call opposition political parties to come and speak on their own there. So even when you are analyzing the situation, analyze it at a point where people will be able to know that, yeah, we are this nation. We don't want chaos in Zambia. Like what happened at the Secretariat. That is very unfortunate. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Msonda, for your comments, and we'll endeavor to do just that. What we do is provide just a general analysis, and on the messages that we are reading, we are getting them on our Facebook page. You can also go there and argue with our followers on our Facebook page so that you hear for them, you respond for yourself. Otherwise, we have to make sure that each and every comment counts, because it's not our duty to gag everyone. We have to make sure that everyone else is given a platform. That's what we do here on Camnet TV. What we do is objectivity and nothing short of that, and we do not shy away to always refer to the archives when it comes to doing stories. We have to make sure that everything is well documented. That's why we exist as the media. We have to remind people of the past, the current, and the future, because at the end of the day, you cannot make the decision based on what the current situation.
Yes.
So now, in case you also want to join the conversation, just like Mr. Msonda was giving his perspective there, he was telling us that he had to switch off from a certain radio station. But why was Mr. Msonda going to another station when he knows that Camnet TV is here? Hello?
Trump is coming back, and you don't come back.
Sorry, we didn't get your name. Sorry, we didn't get your name.
Hello?
Sorry, we did not get your name.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Your name and where you're calling us from, please.
I'm calling from Frela. I am Dan.
Mr. Danny, you can now go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, Trump is coming back. Why not LUNGU? What we want is a strong position. There's no position back in Zambia. And we need to get to mind. It also makes it opposition leaders have been jailed without question. The same is happening to the same we used to do is what I just doing. So these two people Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Danny, for your comment. We value it very much. And Mr. Danny is saying Trump is coming back, Nelson. Why not ECL?
Why not ECL? Yeah, and I think yesterday we also tried by all means to get some reactions from those in the political scene. They were also saying or indicating to say it's good that he's back because he's got all the rights to come back. But however, others were alleging that he mismanaged the country. So that resemblance now, that remembrance that is there of how he mismanaged the country might begin to haunt him, and all other implications that might be there. But we look forward to how the case will be.
Indeed, we continue to look at how events will be unfolding, because we know that quite a number of political tactics will be coming into the picture. And we have another caller. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Fine, and how are you, sir?
Very fine, yeah.
Your name and where you are calling us from?
I'm Mubanga.
Mr. Mubanga.
Yes, sir.
You can go ahead with your contribution. Want to hear your opinion?
But people should not take that back. Because the people give me constitution, people constitution, not the remember the constitution. So, that's not. If you then you go to the constitution. Now, what will happen? Because I'm now asking what will happen to those who wanted to go for the election because of party all 11 of them are taken to accept me for various reasons like family and others. Because no. So it is not the only problem. Because we don't know if you follow what we are saying. So this is what people are going to accept me. What will be the policy was coming to the manifest? So people should not blame for being party. They're being party after their own So.
Okay, I think we did get his perspective there. The point is that it is not just Mao Sampa, but there are also those who are aspiring to take over the leadership of the party. Well, we have many of them who paid 200,000 kwachas. Are they going to get a refund? He mentioned the likes of GBM, we had Chishimba Kambwili, we had Mao Sampa, we had Brian Mundubire, we have Mutotwe Kafwaya, we also had Greyford Monde. Who are the other two?
There's that woman from
yes,
from is it Lundazi? Yes, Lundazi MP.
Yeah, so all those were part of those who paid the nomination fees, and they want to take over the leadership of the PF. So now he's saying, are they okay with that? That is the opinion of our previous caller, Mr. Mubanga there. And you are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Good morning, Zambian.
Thank you for calling as the first female caller. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Mrs. Nyirenda, calling from Chimwemwe Kitwe.
Mrs. Nyirenda, go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, as a Zambian, I want to talk my language.
Yes, you are free, madam.
Yes. Our president, ECL, is a Zambian. He has the right to come back. He has the right to come back. Chapali winga kaja ba LUNGU nga baleko with that. That's what is a politician. LUNGU ali bombala ele pintu inge sile tuleta saba eche kwe batola bena naba bombala LUNGU la ele ali bombe pintu ingi bakobata abantu bakwire bata appreciate. Tabakwire bamukanya lokumukanya lekenyu kwire eminine. Let's hope we don't get some time. So I'm going to show me let's hope we got it for that. Let's LUNGU stand any day. Let's go to the fire way. Lord, let's have to see this, our way. Japan is a Zambia. Let him come back. As long as Lungu is in Ireland, I'm back. Let him be active, Sophie.
Thank you very much for your contribution. We appreciate Madam Nyirenda for your perspective. You've heard the female voice there giving her perspective, and we want to get more views on the program. Yes. And in case you also have a call, you have a perspective, do make that call right now so that we can hear from you. And we've been getting various views from various citizens, and everyone else is giving us a different dimension of the subject. I'm interested, and you are seeing also on a lot of things which you need to work on there. A lot of dimensions that are coming on.
A lot of dimensions, but for me, I think I was going to side much on the aspect of having something in written. Are we going to? Okay, before I even bring out that thought, let's talk to this caller. Hello, you're through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show.
Good morning.
Morning, thank you. Who are we talking to, and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Kafuwe. I'm Siame.
Okay, good to know that Kafu is locked on. Go ahead, Mr. Siame, with your contribution.
My contribution is that one, as Zambians, whether in political sectors, companies, or we are the people who want to be. That is a disease which has been all along. People retire, you want to still come to work. But generally speaking, let us accept there is no one who is not replaceable. That is a fact of life. No matter how long you want to take, simply accept it. Find it. So the mind that people who are accepting facts of life to say they are replaceable, as long as that one stands, then the others will. We have seen it in terms of football. You have to change the coach. If you can't win, some players, if they can't function as a state striker, accept to change. So the principle of disliking each other is very bad. That one this is not the best time that expecting such good. KK was the same problem. It ended up doing something. So, even at places where there are people want to change, others even the company. So that is it. So the answer to the politicians, don't party. Why can't they elect that people party? So we Zambians don't take the role of weight. Why should you have take political parties? It doesn't make sense. It is like you are giving people, even the UK, some from the they were this president so many years until he now becomes the president. After 10 years, he has to accept to be president. Even name of it.
Okay, I think we've lost him there.
That's Mr. Siam. I think there was one point I was trying to make, which is we have too many political parties in the country. So there's need to maybe slash down the number so that we ensure to have a diversity of views, in the end also promote peace. So he's saying there's too much politics of hate and character assassination. So maybe cutting down on the numbers of political parties that we have might help.
But we are a multi-party democracy.
Yeah,
multi-partyism does not can be as many as 100. Exactly. It can be as many as 2. Exactly. You get the sense.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those are views, and he's entitled to his opinion. But we're saying that when time to retire, always retire. But I think, you know, in politics, there are also what we call political tactics and gimmicks. You know, LUNGU just returning into active politics, for example. I'm just giving an inspection. It's not that that's what is true. I'm giving an analysis. Him returning to active politics, it doesn't say that I'm contesting in 2026. Are you getting the point? It may be just that probably also want to be inside the ring and also give a push to someone. They may be identifying as someone who has a potential to lead the party forward. Are you getting the view? So these are part of political tactics.
Let's hold your thought. Get through to this caller. Good morning. You're through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show.
Morning, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Who do we have on the line and where are you calling us from?
This is John Dala from Solowezi.
Go ahead, Mr. Ndala, with your contribution from Solowezi.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to congratulate Mr. Edgar Lungu for coming back to active politics. But in history, there's always a term they use. History always repeats itself. If you remember during the reign of Dr. Kaunda,
yes,
he tried to come back, but he failed. You saw what happened to Arabi.
Yes.
He tried to come back, but he failed. We had Chiluba, who was pushing for a third term. He tried to come back, but oh, it was in vain. Let me take you back to what Members Mumba said. Members Mumba said it will end in tears. That was a big mistake. We have great respect from Mr. Lungu. The problem he has is surrounded with people that are not giving him the truth. Right now, as we say, yes, we can have pockets of support here and there. But the question of to take power from this current government, I don't think that will work out. So the people that are behind CCL are busy misleading him, are busy misleading him. And this is an embarrassment to himself. Because this time, he was supposed to live a peaceful life and accommodate all people from all walks of life, whether from opposition or from ruling. As the former head of state and the father of the nation, this was a great thing, great history for him. Now, you guys, the question that you should ask yourself, if ACL succeeds to stand in 2026, what happens when it's going to lose? That is where we're supposed to focus. That one who definitely takes into the president. Because he will be more embarrassed than he was embarrassed in 2021. So my advice, yes, he has come back to politics, but let him receive his decision and become the father of the nation. There's no one that is here in EDGAR. Even if they are saying this guy is interfering in EDGAR, it's not true. It's not true. Those guys are all the machinery now. They can play politics here and there, and they can manipulate everything. But what I'm saying is I'm not encouraging anything. I'm just saying those guys are all the players now to go. Last to this, as I finish, it's like Zambia playing Ivory Coast. You get the 24 winning Africa Cup of Nations team. Okay? And then you take it to Ivory Coast to play the Ivorians who have new players. You think Zambia can still win using that team? The big answer is no. So my advice to Lungu, please, sir, we have respect for you. Don't go back to his house. Don't go back to politics. Because those that are surrounding you, people like Peter Lubinda and Kachinda, are just misleading you. Those they know that once the leadership takes, those will be just like happy dogs. So that's my humble contribution. Thank you very much.
We thank you for your contributions, sir. We value it, just like others who have come through. And you too can still call us and give us your take on the subject of the day. We are looking at the return to active politics of former President Edgar Lungu. And this was after a protracted debate, Nelson. When we were doing these stories, also people were asking us, when we say, we're seeing this, everything pointing to his comeback. Others were in doubt, but we, you know, we foresaw this as the media. We saw this, but why these activities? And you know, then they continued saying no, he's not. He has declared that he's not coming back. But what happens to? Is it you say one thing and you say the opposite?
I remember one notable figure was Shimba Kambwidi. He repeatedly said Lungu wasn't going to come back because we've had conversations over him not coming back.
Even when we had Mr. Rifwekelo last week on Tuesday.
Yes.
He also said the same thing.
He also said the same thing. Even Emmanuel Mwamba was saying no, there's no political comeback whatsoever. But for me, I think personally, when I look at this issue, I don't want...
Before we interpreted, you had the perspective before we...
Exactly. So my perspective was basically on... since at Cabinet Office, there's a letter saying he has retired from active politics.
Yes.
And on the 28th, during that celebration for the late president, Mr. Michael Chilufya-Sata, he made an announcement that he's returning to active politics. So is the process also of writing now, putting it in ink, and to withdraw that paper at the cabinet underway?
Yeah, let's pick this call. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Oh, yes, good morning, sir. How are you?
Fine, and how are you, sir?
I'm okay.
Your name and where you are calling us from?
Yes, this is Morris Masopati from Chingola.
Okay, good to hear that Chingola is locked in. You can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
I want to say that it is wrong for the former president to take to the politics. Currently in Zambia, we need a father who can lead the other people in terms of to advise those upcoming politics. That is just my point, because we have our first former president died, even so there's no one who can able to check and balance, even to advise for those upcoming politics. That's my message. That's all. So, thanks so much, sir.
Thank you very much. He is suggesting that we need a father of the nation who's going to be neutral, accommodate everyone, and give advice to the government. And former President Edgar Lungu said, no, I'm going inside the ring. And not that role you want to give me.
Going inside the ring, I want to speak for myself.
I'm going inside the ring.
I've been too quiet for too long.
Yeah, so yeah. So those are the issues. But area I was also you point out an aspect of also making it in written, because that was a verbal announcement. So probably a written announcement would hold more hot as well, so that when that so that to render that letter that is before Cabinet Office now and void, so that we have an official, because we anything with a court issues may say, no, did I withdraw my letter?
I didn't.
So
yeah, so all those aspects.
Yeah, all those are some of the issues that may be unfolding pertaining to that subject, Nelson. And just to remind our dear viewers who are still calling, we'll play back the story that we had on the 28th of October, so that we just recall the announcement by the former president, Mr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, that is back. He wants to save the PF, and given that we have seen that there's been a lot of tension, especially with the issue of Mao Sampa. So now we're going to just recall that story in case you're just joining the conversation, so that we can continue talking on the other side.
Are we going to follow the media, or we are going to be told that I have come out of retirement?
The speculations are over as Zambia's former and 6th president, Edgar Lungu, has announced return to active politics. This comes 4 days after Material Member of Parliament, Mao Sampa, held an impromptu extraordinary general conference which elected him as president of the Patriotic Front, PF. Making his announcement at Memorial Park during the memorial of former President Michael Sata, Mr. Lungu disclosed that his decision came after thorough thought aimed at saving the former ruling party from collapse.
I don't want to die. I will also not allow factions within the party. I will also not allow opportunistic individuals to destroy the party. Hear this. Therefore, after a careful and deep reflection and wide consultation, including prayer, following naked efforts by those in power to annihilate the biggest opposition party PF in Zambia today, the PF, using their stooges and institutions of governance, I have decided to return to active politics.
Without referring to individuals, Mr. Lungu also vowed to prevent factions in the party. Meanwhile, the memorial service was full of messages in songs and turnout, perhaps as a show of strength in the former ruling party. The Patriotic Front PF has been shifting goalposts on hosting its party conference since June 2022 to elect new leaders after Mr. Lungu has announced his retirement, perhaps was aimed to give room to the former head of state to make his decision. This was also characterized with some party officials making hints of his return into active politics. With the return of Mr. Lungu in active politics no longer speculation, President Hakainde Hichilema's question may now beg an answer.
Chakukola chimbala. Chimbala chakukola.
For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
There you have it. That's the story we have been looking at today pertaining to former President Edgar Lungu. And we've managed to get a lot of views from our callers who came through to just give us their perspective on the breakfast show regarding the return of former President Edgar Lungu to active politics. But Nelson Zuru, I think this is where we have to call it a day.
Yeah, and this is where we have to call it a day. We continue to also get more information pertaining to how things continue to unfold on this, and better yet, I think our viewers might also be looking forward to what the lunchtime cafe might hold, because remember there's a segment we call the emerging stories. In case of any development, they need to look out, and they will be provided with the much needed information for their consumption.
Yeah, and we'll continue to follow these events as they unfold. Remember to always keep it on Camnet TV, not just another channel. This has been Patrick Soko and Nelson Zuru. Until tomorrow when we come back with another interesting episode of the Camnet Breakfast Show. Keep it on Camnet.